349, Delegate Valderrama on behalf of the Prince George's County delegation. Prince George's County Speed Monitoring Systems, Maryland Route 210, and Delegate Valderrama and all your many witnesses. Just a reminder, you have 19 witnesses, all of whom are favorable, so we do accept testimony that is me too or ditto on what I know is an important bill to your community.
How are you?
Okay. Thank you, Chair Corman, Vice Chair Boyce, and esteemed members of the Environment and Transportation Committee. For the record, Chris Valderrama here to present HB 349, Prince George's County Speed Camera Monitoring System, Maryland Route 210. I am here on behalf of the Prince George's delegation, which unanimously passed this legislation at both the subcommittee level and the delegation level. I know that this committee is familiar with this issue, so over the past 7 years I've been coming before your committee. Our delegation has brought several proposals to you regarding safety on this road. I'd say to please note that we are not, and I emphasize not, asking for additional monitors, speed monitors, but instead we want more stringent fines for those who are continuing to speed on this notoriously dangerous road. This committee considered this same bill last year without the significant modifications that we have made since then. And last year, we introduced, I would say, a more complex bill, which included additional fines for a group that we called the super speeders, who repeatedly violated the speed limit without seeming impunity. So we realized that this portion of the legislation was novel and perhaps too difficult to institute, so we dropped that portion of the bill, which added additional fines for recidivists. This committee was also concerned about the accuracy of our speeding data due to the limitations of the speed cameras that our county was using and how the county instituted the program in general. So since last year, Prince George's County has purchased state-of-the-art technology for use on Route 10, which began usage in spring of last year. We will have a later witness on a different panel to address this technology for you. But what remained the same is the unacceptable and unusual number of speeders on this road and the resultant senseless deaths that have occurred. So I know that this committee is taking a closer look at all civil penalties for speed monitoring violations. But I would like to make the case that Route 210, Indian Head Highway, requires a special fee structure based on several unique factors. One, the physical design of this road makes common speed calming solutions really unrealistic. For those of you who may or may not know, the DOD during World War II built Route 210 to transport munitions produced in southern Maryland to greater Washington area. It was never, ever meant to be the major commuter that it has become today. The road, for those of you who are familiar with it, it is straight and flat, so it is the perfect zone, I guess you want to say, for a place to speed and drag race, which is happening. Not necessarily during the day of all hours, but I definitely hear it nearby my home. And so it has none of the modern engineering safety measures typically used to control traffic. And since the region was developed over time and without a plan, there's no room to build sidewalks, traffic lights, or crosswalks, even though it does have numerous housing developments, including those for senior living, shopping centers, churches, and schools, and other daily necessities. So Route 210 is unique in that it serves as both a major commuter road and a main street, which locals use to pick up their kids from school, et cetera. So we need enhanced fines on Route 210 if we are ever going to slow traffic down. Second, we need fine parity with our neighbor from Charles County. For reasons that make no sense at all to me and this panel and those that will follow, Prince George's County is solely responsible for policing the Prince George's portion of Route 210, while the Maryland State Police issue tickets in Charles County. This results in two different fines for the same infractions that are being committed. So in Prince George's County, the civil penalty is the same, whether you travel 20 miles over the speed limit or 90 miles over the speed limit. Everyone gets the same $40 fine, which I think we can all agree is egregious. and that's regardless of the seriousness of the infraction. But however, in Charles County, officer-issued tickets have a sliding scale from $60 to $530, depending on how fast that car is traveling. The fine fits the crime. It is not one fine fits all, which is currently taking place in Prince George's. Third, there is precedent for enhanced civil penalty fines in critical areas of our state roads. Just last year, the Moore administration enacted construction zone speed camera legislation aimed at protecting the Maryland state employees who are at daily risk of injury and death. The civil penalties in that legislation range from $60 to $500, and again, based on the severity of the driver's infraction. Finally, the members of this committee, it is the position of our Prince George's delegation that it makes sense to institute a more rigorous fine structure when, as on Route 10, there's a long, well-documented history of speeding, which has resulted in many deaths and so much tragedy for the community. I'd like to add that there is nothing in this legislation or in the newly enacted enhanced construction zone civil penalty law which prevents the state from using different civil penalty scales for different situations. We believe that the speeding and death rate on Route 210 is a special circumstance and deserves more rigorous speeding enforcement and fines. So on behalf of the entire Prince George's delegation, I respectfully and humbly request a favorable report of HB 349.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Captain David Coleman of the Prince George's County Police Department, representing Chief Malik Aziz, and we strongly support this bill. This section of Maryland 210 is a critical artery for commuters in Charles and Prince George's counties traveling to and from the DC metropolitan area. This serves over 80,000 motorists every single day. Maryland 210 currently has 6 speed cameras in operation, and these systems have demonstrated some effectiveness in reducing speed. However, the portion within Prince George's County has still seen 29 fatal collisions since 2019, 16 of which involve pedestrians. The Prince George's County Police Department has dedicated significant resources to improving safety on this roadway. We've invested heavily in patrol officer enforcement, special overtime funded assignments, and joint operations with Maryland State Police. But despite these efforts and the positive impact of existing speed monitoring systems, this stretch of Maryland 210 continues to average approximately 5 fatalities per year. Furthermore, an analysis of speed camera data from August through December 2024 revealed a troubling trend. 1,173 repeat offenders were detected. 906 offenders had 5 or more citations, and 1 driver had over 60. That's in a 4-month period. This significant number of individuals repeatedly exceeding the speed limit underscores the need for stronger deterrence to modify driver behavior and enhance safety on this corridor. The current flat fine of $40 is not substantial enough to modify motorists' behavior. Increased fines will encourage drivers to modify their behavior and create a safer Maryland 210. The passage of House Bill 349, which allows for increased fines for excessive speed on this specific portion of the highway, will significantly enhance the effectiveness of our current enforcement tools.
Great. Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it. Next panelist, please.
Okay. Chair Corman, Vice Chair Boyce, and members of the committee, I'm one of the luckiest people in this room. I'm Ron Weiss. I'm from Fort Washington. I'm the son of an immigrant mother and a blue-collar father. I have a wonderful wife and 6 children. I live in the great state of Maryland in gorgeous Prince George's County, surrounded by a beautiful community and great neighbors. But most importantly to this hearing, I have survived 40 years of living next to 210. That's something 95 people cannot say. 95 people are represented by the number of chairs behind me. Maryland 210 is so dangerous that two of my representatives, Senator Muse and my spunky bill-sponsored Delegate Valderrama, avoid driving it whenever possible. HB 349 can help change that by incentivizing drivers to obey the law and slow down. For most drivers, the fear of an embarrassing $60 fine is enough to keep them in check. That works for me. For those who treat 210 like a raceway, this bill provides increasingly serious consequences for reckless speeding. If you don't support automated enforcement, I ask you to consider the alternatives. Should we ask our police officers to stand 24/7 on the shoulders of 210 with radar guns, catching only a handful of speeders while diverting resources from violent crime? Or should we spend hundreds of millions of dollars to reconstruct the highway? Or do we use the accurate speed cameras we already in place, combined with targeted fines of HB 349, to make 210 safer for everyone? I thank the committee for your previous support of 210 safety efforts, and today I respectfully ask for your favorable report on HB 349 before my luck runs out. Happy Vision Zero Day.
Okay. Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, Chairman Corman. Before I begin, I'd just like to, if I can just have our supporters behind us stand up briefly for the Maryland 210 bill, HB 349. Thank you so much. I know my time is running, but I like to open up with this definition. The definition of the term criminal negligence states an action or non-action that shows disregard for the safety of others, even when the risk is made plain. The residents of the 14-mile span of Indian Head Highway have suffered 95 traffic fatalities in the last 17 years. Since 2018, this highway received its first speed camera, growing to the current 6 in the year 2024, with a new speed camera contract to Genoptic and a state-of-the-art cameras as well. The first 6 weeks of operations, 2 weeks of July, 4 weeks in August, produced 18,165 citations. The first 7 months of operations, inclusive of January 2025, produced 53,879 citations. Each of these 6 cameras for each of the 7 months since July 2024 recorded high speeds of 100 miles per hour for each of the 6 cameras for each of the months, with the exception of one where the speed was 97 miles per hour. In 7 months, 7,579 offenders have 2 to 4 citations. 1,339 offenders with 5 to 9 citations, and 230 offenders with 10 to 14 citations. In the 7 months, and since these cameras have been in operation, 32,792 offenders were recorded going 12 to 15 miles over the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit. We experienced for the first time capturing an individual speeding on our 55-mile-per-hour highway going 190 miles per hour. This is our 3rd year seeking to pass the same principal model of this same bill structure, where our community has lost 17 individuals in the last 3 years. We've been told discussions in the General Assembly are data-driven. To not pass HB 341 would not just make this rule mute, it would be criminally negligent. I believe this distinguished body is better than that, but it can only be proven by your vote. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Corman, Vice Chair Boyce, committee members, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Herbert Jones. I'm a member of the South County Environmental Justice Coalition. HB 349 is critical for the safety of all drivers who utilize Route 210. The immediate passage of HB 349 is not only in the public interest, but can be a game changer for the economic growth of South County. As lawmakers, you all are in a unique position to create a positive change that will save lives, create a livable, vibrant, and safe driving community. We have a new vendor, latest technology, that will allow us to better, more efficiently monitor our roads. The adoption of HB 349 is wholeheartedly supported by our organization. The time is now. This is it. We must challenge every Marylander to contribute in some way, form, or fashion for the public good regarding safety and changing driver behavior on 210. In closing, I would like to thank you, Chairman Corman, the bill's author, Delegate Valderrama, the entire Prince George's County delegation, former County Exec Alsterbrook, Councilmember Calvin Hawkins, Senator Muse, and Councilmember Burrows for their continuing support, and hope that this bill is voted out favorably. Thank you.
Great, thank you. For the gentleman all the way on my right, can you just introduce yourself? You didn't say your name when you were testifying.
Reverend Dr. Robert L. Screen.
Great, thank you. Questions for Delegate Valderrama or her panel? Delegate Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Valderrama, 2 questions. Did you say that Charles County patrols 210?
Yes,
Could you explain sort of how that works?
I cannot.
Good answer. Okay, I like that one.
I'm wondering the same thing.
I mean, is it statute?
That I don't know. Captain, is that statute? I don't know. Oh, correct. There has been a MOU that has been in existence in our county, which I personally still don't understand how it came about, and I've been still trying to figure that out. I know some of your subcommittee members might be aware of that MOU, but that was before my time, and
Okay,
it's still
so
there.
maybe they could think about changing the MOU.
We also talked about that, but that
Guess
hasn't
this is not
happened
going
yet.
anywhere, huh?
Right.
Okay, any idea how much money you've collected so far with all these tickets?
Yes, Mr. Weiss has that information.
It's about $1.3 million that have been sent to State Highway. That's money over and above the cost of operating speed
I
camera.
get that, but then if I remember correctly, the way the law was written is that money that should be reinvested in highway improvements and things like that. Does that just mean that they pave it to make it go faster or straighter?
The State Highway is using that currently for a parallel bike path to get bicyclists off of 210 to make it safer.
That's a good idea. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any further questions? Delegate Lehman.
Not a question, Mr. Chair, but just a suggestion. First of all, thank you, Delegate Valderrama, for your hard work on this issue. You provided the Prince George's County Law Enforcement Subcommittee in response to a request from a member about all the many ways that those fines over the years have been used to try to improve Route 210, to improve safety, to slow folks down, in addition to the cameras themselves. It would probably be useful if you could share that information with the committee as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional suggestions? Okay, thank you. There's a number of other witnesses. Judy Allen Leventhal for the RACS Greater Ocracoke Civic Association, John Sang, Maryland Coalition for Roadway Safety, Dolores Holmes, and Joyce Perkinson. Please, one of you go ahead when you're ready. One of you can go ahead,
Okay.
that's sitting there. Go ahead.
Since you read my name first,
Perfect.
I'm Judy Allen Leventhal, and thank you for this opportunity. And some of what I'm going to say is redundant, but I'm just going to read it so that I don't miss anything. I am a resident of District 26, have been for years, past president of the Greater Ocracoke Civic Association, and currently on the board of that organization. I chair an ad hoc committee called Roadway Advocacy Committee for South County. We call ourselves RACS, which was established by the urging of concerned citizen activists about this very issue and also the aesthetics of the South County roadways. I'm here to enthusiastically endorse HB 349. It would implement a tiered fine structure for speed camera violations on Maryland 210. As you all know, a dangerous stretch. This is a redundant numbers, 95 dead and so forth. The state legislation initiated in 2009 enforces that flat fee that's been mentioned, and it's for all speed camera violations regardless of how high the speed. This modest fine may defer minor infractions, but it does not address the more serious and reckless driving where speeds reach 100 miles per hour or more, as was mentioned, 190 miles per hour. I just can't even imagine not that much speed. Clearly, the flat fine does little to deter extreme speeders who present the greatest safety threat to other motorists and pedestrians. The tiered fine structure would ensure that penalties are more appropriate to the severity of the violation. HB 349 would more effectively deter reckless driving and reduce the risk of fatalities. Also, HB 349 proposes the same tiered fines as is going forward with the Maryland Road Worker Protection Act sponsored by Lieutenant Governor Miller in the unoccupied workforce work zone. Maryland 210 speed cameras have already reduced speeding and prevented accidents, as illustrated by the citation statistics for the new cameras over 5 months of operations. Citations have been reduced by 72%, down from nearly 17,000 in August and to 4,700 in December of 2024.
Great,
So
thank
my
you
time
so
is
much.
out.
Thank you so much for your
this
testimony. We
opportunity.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Please, and move the mic a little closer to you so we can hear you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joyce Perkinson. My husband and I have lived west of Maryland Route 210 in Fort Washington since 1968. Over the years, we have watched this rural highway become a more suburban interchange for commuters heading north to DC, Northern Virginia, and the Beltway Traffic Exchange. We have traveled this highway to work and play, taught our children to drive using it, but now avoid driving on it regardless because of the fear of the death trap. We have witnessed a horrendous culture change in the way drivers disrespect the life-threatening dangers and consequences of speeding and reckless driving, resulting in many deaths, injuries, property damage on Maryland Route 210. The passage of HB 349 will at least get drivers' attention for more calculated safe driving and ensure the security of our families. As a retired teacher of 44 years, I know penalties can change behavior. As our elected officials, we look to you to make decisions in the best interests of our Maryland families. Passage of HB 349 is by far one of these decisions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dolores Holmes, and I'm speaking for myself in support of HB 349. I've been a resident of Fort Washington since 1982, and I've seen the increases in accidents caused by excessive speeding on Route 210. You've heard the testimony from my neighbors. What I want you to understand is that Route 210 is not just a highway. Every day, it connects me with an important part of my life, my family, my children, my grandson, my daughter-in-law, my neighbors. They are unique and irreplaceable. 95 members of my community have been murdered on 210 because of irresponsible drivers. These extreme speeders believe that for the sake of arriving fast and first, my family and yours are worthless and expendable. As a mother of 6, I know that $40 buys little or nothing at the grocery store, but for driving over 100 miles an hour on 210, the fine is only $40. Data has proven that this is not effective. Our community has been traumatized due to the loss of lives, including children. When I leave here this afternoon, I must travel on 210, and there's no guarantee that I'll arrive home this evening after this hearing. I need your action. I urge you to support HB 349, and I thank you for your time.
Yes, Chair Corman and Vice Chair Boyce, John Singh here again. I decided to weigh in on this testimony because I don't see the Route 210 issue as a local Prince George's County or even Charles County issue. Reverend Dr. Screen and Ron Weiss are on our board of directors, and I'm only too proud to augment their messaging that, you know, for this 14-mile stretch in Prince George's County, it's not just, again, a local problem. It's the belly of the beast in the state of Maryland with everything that's wrong and why for too many years now, the death toll keeps going up in Maryland until last year, happily. It's one of the deadliest roads in the nation. Now, let me give you another example of what it costs to speed in the state of Maryland. It happens to be a legal place to speed. Capitol Raceway in Crofton, Maryland charges $100 to legally speed with your vehicle there. You can drive your own vehicle there and speed around as much as you want, $100. And that's the price of entertainment that a commercial enterprise puts on speeding. Here, we're trying to stop the speeding, and it's $40. So can we please get this done this year, this time, this session? One more anecdote is that if you have trash to throw away and somebody happens to catch you in the state of Maryland, it's a $1,000 fine. So I hope these examples help beyond the other statistics that we've heard this afternoon, really shed this bill in complete contrast and resolution as in terms of what needs to be done. So Safe Roads stands 100% behind recommending your favorable report on HB 0349. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Seeing no questions for this panel, I'll call up additional favorable witnesses. Sandra T. Hall, Maryland 210 Safety Committee. John Becker, Safe Roads, Maryland. Jennifer Huggins and Dwayne Bowie, Tantalon North Area Civic Association. Why don't you go ahead all the way on the right here and get us started?
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Thank you so much for listening to our testimony. My name is Sandra T. Hall, and I'm a member of the Maryland 210 Traffic Safety Committee. I support HB 349. In 2019, my husband and I were traveling on 210, heading to DC to visit our daughter, and we were involved in a 4-car collision. And the car that hit us, he took off, others stayed on the scene. My husband was the only one transported to the emergency room with severe back problems, and to this day, he is still suffering from those problems. The $40 fine that we are assessing on this assessment is totally egregious. As a greatly concerned citizen and member of the Traffic Safety Committee, this legislation goal is a critical goal or step toward improving the safety and quality of life for those who live, visit, and work on Maryland 210. The state has to enforce or should enforce a higher fine for speeding, no matter how fast you're going. I celebrated my 68th birthday on February the 8th, thank God. And going to DC to celebrate that with my brother, going up Branch Avenue, everybody was slowing down. Everybody knew that if you go into DC, you're going to be ticketed, not $40, not $50, $100 or more. So why is it that we have such a problem doing that here in Maryland, especially on Maryland 210? A $40 fine does not do anything to discourage the behavior of those traveling on that road. So I'm asking you today to pass this bill. And in closing, as you all saw in the reports about the Black Hawk helicopter and the airplane, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Huggins, and I'm here to support HB 349 regarding Maryland 210, also known as Indian Head Highway, but it should be better known as 14 Miles of Terror. First, let me give you some background. I'm not from Maryland. I grew up in New York City. I've lived in Boston. I visited Cairo, Tokyo, and Amsterdam. I have never been so terrorized as I've been on Maryland 210. I commute into DC, and with the return to office, a lot more people who have been able to work from home during COVID will now for the first time have to commute. So they're gonna join the 80,000 cars already traveling on Maryland 210 every day. I joined the Maryland 210 Traffic Safety Committee because I was outraged by just the blatant ways that people speed through this 55-mile-an-hour highway, and if you don't go over 55 miles an hour, they will terrorize you for trying to follow the law. I was shocked to learn that the reasons they're able to do this is because no matter how fast they go, they're only fined $40. Someone new to this community, I am shocked and outraged that our lives are only worth those $40. The faster you go, the more you should pay, because the faster you go, the more you can kill. That's just basic math. These tiered fines will save lives. It's safer for us. It's safer for our police force who can't chase speeders, especially at night. I really ask you, this has been the third year we've tried to get this passed. Please pass this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dwayne Bowie, and I represent the Tantalia North Area Civic Association. Good afternoon, honorable members of the Environment Transportation Committee, Chair and Vice Chair. On October 9, 2022, my family had the unfortunate experience to witness an accident at the intersection of Palmer Road and Indian Head Highway on a clear Sunday morning. A white hybrid vehicle was speeding through the intersection of a red light and struck two vehicles making turns onto Indian Head Highway. Everyone lived, but my car would have been the third car entering that intersection. I paused at the accelerator because my wife screamed out, "Wait, stop." If my wife did not scream in terror, this could have been a tragic story, including my family. Our family, of course, got out of the car immediately to help all of the victims where we could until the police and the ambulance arrived. But my initial thought was, what could we as a community have done to prevent this accident in the middle of this beautiful day? Our community members face the challenges of reckless drivers on a daily basis. The members of Tantalia North Area Civic Association, located east of Fort Washington Road and Indian Head Highway, make up about 500 homes, have a vested interest in Indian Head Highway and have communicated to our leadership on numerous occasions asking what can be done about the speeding and the careless drivers who traumatize our citizens that need to commute on Indian Head Highway 210. On a daily basis, our community has observed drivers speeding along emergency shoulders, weaving in and out of traffic, and of course, zooming past us in excess of 150 miles an hour. We call drivers like these terrorists in the sense that many of our citizens have opted not to even drive Indian Head Highway, or if at all possible, to minimize their own risk of death or severe accident happening to them. Our citizens' trip may take a little longer, and maybe they'll travel a little safer knowing they do not have to operate with these terrorists. The citizens of Tantalia North request your approval to pass HB 349 to significantly raise the speeding fines along intersections of Indian Head Highway 210. Speeders currently know there are multiple cameras to slow down just to give them a $40 ticket. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, John Becker, Safe Roads, Maryland. Although, again, I live in Rockville, Maryland at the north side of the Beltway, I have experienced, not as much as these folks who live there, but our fellow board members live in this area. And I just want to add one thing. It's the thing about the speeding is, again, the fine structure, the penalty. And I cannot add any more to what these people have already experienced and what they've testified for, but maybe this helps. If you're going to do the crime, be prepared to pay the fine. And I think that's the important thing here for this. Thank you very much, and please pass a favorable report.
Great, thank you very much. Seeing no questions for this panel, we have one more panel of in-person favorable witnesses. Deborah Young, Patricia Monroe, South Lawn Citizens Association, Katie Nash on behalf of Genoptech, and Donna Warren. And Ms. Nash, right when you sit down, you can start.
I got it, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, Katie Nash on behalf of Genoptech, testifying in support of HB 349. Thank you to the sponsor for her many years of advocacy and her team on this work. Thank you also to the 210 Safety Committee for their, as you can tell, passionate advocacy on this matter. Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, Genoptic is the new vendor that you've heard referenced today. The delegate asked me to be here as a reference, an ongoing reference. Certainly, we can put you in touch with any of our engineers if there are any specific questions about the technology. Just want to echo that we are accurate and reliable, and we're very excited to be partnering with the county in this work. We've seen some real improvement, but there's so much more to do. Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to echo something that I think when Delegate Morgan asked the question about the improvements for State Highway, something I've noticed being a monthly attendee of these 210 Safety Committee meetings, they're looking at every solution they can to make this road safer. Every meeting that we have, State Highway participates, the police participate. They are working so hard to make this road safer. So this is one tool in their toolbox, and we urge a favorable report. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Deborah Young, and I reside in Fort Washington, about 2 miles off of Maryland 210. I've lived there since 1987. And I am testifying in support of House Bill 349. There have been far too many deaths, accidents with injuries because of dangerous driving behaviors on this highway. Each time I travel on 210, I witness more and more aggressive, dangerous driving, which I find very, very frightening. Vehicles have passed me in the travel lanes and on the shoulders of the highway with such great speed that I think I'm sitting still. Since so many drivers on 210 have no regard for the posted speed limit, this bill is necessary to help make this highway safer and help protect the lives of all who use Maryland 210. The current fine for $40 for vehicles traveling beyond the 67 miles per hour speed limit has been a great start, but I strongly believe that the tiered schedule with healthier fines based on the speed a vehicle is traveling will help change driving behaviors, which will lead to a safer Maryland 210. For the safety of all who use 210, I ask that you please provide a favorable report for House Bill 349. Thank you for the opportunity to present my testimony. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Corman and members of the committee. My name is Patricia Monroe. I am here in support of House Bill 349. I believe the stricter penalties are necessary to ensure the safety of all road users on this dangerous stretch of road. As a former defensive driving instructor for over 10 years, I understand the critical importance of adhering to speed limits. Every mile per hour over the limit significantly increases the likelihood of being involved in an accident. Reckless drivers who choose to disregard speed limits endanger not only their own lives, but also the lives of everyone else around them. On February the 10th, 2025, my sister and I were driving home from Sam's Club and from Waldorf. As we traveled, we noticed the SUV in the right-hand lane flying down the road at an alarming speed. We exchanged worried looks and glances at each other, aware of the potential danger. As we approached the intersection of 210 and Old Fort Road, the traffic light turned red. To our horror, the truck sped through the red light without even attempting to slow down. In that terrifying moment, I could only thank God that no one was really hit the gas pedal to cross into that intersection, since they had the right of way. I could only vividly picture the devastating consequences of such reckless driving. Cars flying through the air, lives being shattered in an instant. At the speed the driver was going, it would have been impossible for anyone to survive that collision. The incident I witnessed is a stark reminder of the urgent need for enhanced enforcement, increased fines to deter speeding on Highway 210. By passing HB 349, we can take a crucial step toward making our roads safer for all. I urge you to pass this bill and help protect our community from the dangers of reckless driving. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Donna Warren, and I speak today as a lifelong Maryland resident raised in Charles County, and I currently live in Prince George's County for the past 35 years. I live 1.5 miles from 210. But at this point, I would like all of you to dream and imagine with me that 210 is in your neighborhood. Please imagine that a state road is so dangerous that you recall a death on the road or a horrific accident each time you drive on it. Imagine that you can recall a fatal or horrific accident at each intersection. Imagine your mother drives on it. Imagine your teenagers drive on it. Imagine your friends drive on it. Imagine your colleagues drive on it. And imagine you drive on it every day. Imagine advising your loved ones to avoid driving on Route 210 because so many reckless drivers and accidents have occurred. And worst of all, imagine that you live in a neighborhood that you know where medevac helicopters land. I know they can land at Friendly High School. I know they can land in my neighborhood park. Why? Because there's been accidents that have been so horrific that medevac and state hospital helicopters land to take away victims of accidents on Route 210. My friend lives in Waldorf, and she tells me how dangerously people drive by speeding on the emergency lanes. It's not once a week, it's every week. It's every work day in the morning and afternoon, saying that one day someone's going to kill themselves and somebody else. In closing, I want you to imagine how scary and horrific it is for all of us who experience these reckless drivers. When I shop, I always tell my sales clerk, thank you, and you get home safe today, okay? Because I know on 210 that may not occur. Thank you.
Great, thank you all. We will turn to some virtual witnesses. We have Council Chair Jolene Ivey from Prince George's. Kind of.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Chair Ivy sends her regrets. She wishes that she could be here, but she's not feeling very well, and I will share her message. My question is, when is enough finally enough? I commend Senator Muse, Delegate Valderrama, and the entire county delegation for working on this important legislation, House Bill 0349, because lives literally depend on it passing. I want to thank the many advocates, especially those with the Maryland 210 Traffic Safety Committee, who have spent countless hours amplifying and spreading awareness of the dangers of this area. The AAA has designated Maryland Route 210 in Prince George's County as the deadliest road in Maryland. As is all too well known, since 2007, more than 90 lives have been lost on this stretch of road, sadly known as the Highway of Death. The joint efforts by Prince George's County and State Police in monitoring driver activity on Route 10, coupled with the newly installed replacement speed cameras, are critical steps towards achieving this goal. These measures are not just about enforcement, but about instilling a culture of responsible driving that prioritizes the safety of all road users. However, the fine for the speed camera ticket of $40 is currently too low to deter and stop offenders. Common sense and public safety should allow enforcement to assess the escalating fines contained in this bill, where the faster ones drive above the speed limit, the higher the fine. In 2024 alone, 21 people were killed on Route 210, 11 of them hit-and-run incidents. Between August and October of 2023, the cameras stopped 204 drivers traveling at speeds over 100 miles per hour. One driver was clocked at 170 miles per hour. We must acknowledge the lives lost and countless families affected and their memory. Our promise to make Route 210 a safer road. The proposal to increase the fines for speeding is a crucial step in changing driver behavior and ensuring that the consequences of reckless driving are both immediate and impactful. Please pass HB 0349. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you so much. Hope the council chair feels better. We'll turn to James Lawson.
My name is James Lawson. I support HB 349. I've lived in Accokeek, Maryland for 31 years. I am a concerned citizen and a supporter of the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. During my 31 years in Accokeek, I have used Highway 210 to travel to work and to travel to other destinations. Maryland 210 is a dangerous highway that connects Washington, D.C. with Indian Head, Maryland. It is one of the most dangerous roads in Prince George County. The primary reason 210 is so dangerous is that so many people drive at speeds far above the speed limit. There have always been many traffic accidents on 210. When I moved to Accokeek in 1994, the road was not designed for existing traffic. I remember calling my insurance company and asking, why is my car insurance so high? This is the same rate that I paid when I lived in Washington, D.C. My insurance company stated there are so many car accidents on 210, that is why your car insurance is so high. On average, 80,000 vehicles travel on Maryland 210 daily. Many road improvements have taken place during the past 31 years. Traffic lanes have been added and overpasses have been constructed. Despite road improvements, increased traffic and motorists driving above the speed limit have offset these benefits. Maryland 210 is too congested during rush hour. People are anxious to get home after work, and everyone is in a hurry. Many people drive above the speed limit, not realizing that this road is not designed for traffic over 55 miles per hour. The only way to get people to slow down is to use speed cameras along 210 to ticket drivers who drive 12 miles above the speed limit. The fine HB 349 proposed are reasonable. If people who speed get modest penalties, they will likely comply. Please support HB 349. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Lawson, and thank you to all the advocates who testified or just came to show support on this important bill today. That concludes the bill hearing on House Bill 349. We'll turn